everyone. My name is Janelle Farkas. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and give people just a few more minutes to trickle in. The number keeps climbing, so I want to make sure everybody is able to be here and get the information. So we'll probably get started in about 2 or 3 minutes. So thank you for your patience. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So once again, hello, thank you so much for being here. My name is Janelle Farkas, and I'm a career educator with the Office of Career and Professional Development here at Chapman University. I'm joined today by my lovely peer career advisors and a representative from the Office of Admission, and we're excited to be here today to share with you some of the career resources we have to offer here at Chapman. Before we get started, just a few logistical things to cover. One, I am going to ask that you keep yourself on mute and your videos off just to help with some bandwidth and internet issues throughout the duration of the webinar. Additionally, this is being recorded and will be posted for viewing at a later time for those of us who weren't able to be here, or if you want to come back to any of the slides. And if you have any technological concerns, please just let us know via the chat. I have a couple of colleagues helping me in the chat. Keep an eye on all of that who are willing to help. And if you have any questions about the content throughout any of the presentation, feel free to type them in the chat. If we can, we'll answer them directly through the chat. And if not, we will have a Q&A portion at the end. So with that, thank you all so much for being here. And we are going to get started. I'm going to let my panelists introduce themselves. So I'm passing it to you, Ivy.
Hi guys, my name is Ivy and I am a second year business administration student and I'm also a minor in psychology. And I just wanted to introduce you guys as when it comes to what I do on campus. So the one thing that I do on campus is actually within the Chapman Strong Girls Club. I am on the exec board. I am also a social media intern at the Graceful Exit, which is part of my off-campus involvement. I actually got this internship through our resources that I'll talk about in a second. And I am the founder of the Sincerely Ray blog, which is my self-founded blog that is about sustainability and interior design. And I just wanted to mention something that I love about Chapman and I admire is that they take the initiative to really support global education and they make it fairly easy to study abroad and get any kind of international experiences by providing a lot of financial resources and just support in general. But that's all I have to say for you guys today. So I would like to introduce you to our other peer career advisor and my colleague, Kelly Ma.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Ma, and I am a third year, first generation commuter student from Westminster, California, which is not too far from Chapman, about 20 minutes. I'm a business management major with a minor in leadership studies. On campus, besides being a peer career advisor, I am also in Delta Sigma Pi, which is a professional business fraternity. I'm an orientation leader, I am in mortarboard, and I've also worked with student government before on the commuter committee. Off campus, I've had a couple of internships and am currently in an event planning and marketing internship at 2 firms. Some of my favorite parts about Chapman is getting to watch the sunsets from the balconies or Memorial Lawn. I also love hanging out with my friends in the piazza and grabbing food in the circle, the orange circle, and studying and procrastinating in Beckman, which is the business building. And then some of my other favorite things to do outside of school are going to snowboard, the beach, and watching crime shows with my friends. All right, so we're gonna jump straight in. So by a show of hands, how many of you want a job after you graduate? I know I do. And oh, nice, people are raising their hands. Okay, I was not sure if anyone would be able to figure that out, but I see that many of you do. And if you're not, I'm sure like your families or support systems nearby are fiercely nodding their heads, because mine definitely were when we were in your shoes. Well, you're in the right place, because at Chapman's Office of Career and Professional Development, our job is to help students with this. Our mission is for our students and alumni to identify Chapman as their career connection for life. And this basically means to help them fulfill their professional and career goals. And something we get asked a lot is, so how does this look like in a virtual environment? Well, our office is still open for our business. So all the resources that we would have normally in person is still all available online. Some of those include like one-on-one personalized appointments covering things like resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn's with our career educators, advisors, and peer career advisors like Ivy and I. We also work with classes to provide program-specific career development. So if you're interested in a particular field, we'll like help curate some of the development opportunities to help students with that. We also have tons of online resources, which we are always updating and adding to. And then we also host a variety of events throughout the semester, which Ivy will be diving into a little bit more later. I myself as a student have actually like attended our most recent virtual career fair, which was a lot of fun and just really interesting to see and get my elevator pitch practices in. I've also tuned into a few webinars and has still been able to expand my network with the help of the resources that we have at the Career Center. So next up, Ivy and I are going to be talking about the value of a Chapman degree, experiential learning, networking, and the resources that we offer. So CU ROI. So what is the Chapman ROI, or return on investment, if you will? Sorry, could help myself, I'm a business major. Or the value of obtaining a Chapman degree. Well, we found that 96% of our alumni believe that what they are learning in the classroom can actually be applied to their current positions. So what that means is that after like serving all of our alumni, we're finding that no matter what their degrees are in or what they're currently doing in their jobs right now, they actually believe like their education is relevant to what they're doing in their jobs. And so there's no really pressure for like needing to have like the perfect major to align with like the perfect job, because a lot of the curriculum Chapman professors are planning can be applied to a large variety of fields. My leadership minor is a perfect example for that. In this minor, I've like grown so much. And some of the things include like working effectively in teams by studying personalities. Like if you know the MBTI thing, that was really fun to learn about. Incorporating wellness and mindfulness into what I do to like live a more balanced lifestyle as a student and being able to juggle everything, global perspectives that will like help my emotional quotient, what it truly means to be a leader, and just the different models of leadership. And we also found that 90% of Chapman undergrads are employed or admitted to grad school within 6 months of completing their degree. And these are just really great statistics because it means that as a result of like students' education, experiences, resources, and the support at Chapman, students are able to like really thrive and get that return on their investment. So your career connection for life, CCFL. So what part of what you're investing in is one of the greatest and most unique things about Chapman, which is that we are your career connection for life. And what this means is that our office is here to support students all throughout their undergraduate, even after they graduate down the line. So we not only see students, but we also see managers and like C-suite executives like CEOs and CFOs who come to us because sometimes they want to go through a career change. Maybe they need help with getting a promotion at their workplace. Sometimes they want to transition to new companies, learn to negotiate their salaries, or they themselves are looking to hire Chapman talent because they know that we have an amazing pool of skilled students. Also, this past year has actually shown us exactly why we offer career services for alumni, just because like, you know, life things happen unexpectedly. And we've seen like our alumni come back to, you know, come back to us to help them guide them through like the next steps through a rough time. And this is why like the career connection for life thing is so unique and great about Chapman. It's one of the things that also makes our Panther family so strong. We're always like inviting alumni to come back for events like mock interviews and panels. We help them explore new interests or like directions to go in. And we really encourage them to share their stories. So that way they stay engaged with the university and like think Chapman first. And a fun little tidbit is that the mural you just saw on that slide was actually designed by a student, which we have in our physical office, like on one of the walls, which is really cool. All right, so moving on to experiential learning, what is it? Well, it comes in a few different forms. Some forms include like internships, research, volunteering, things like that. And 97% of students participate in some form of experiential learning, and 80% have completed at least one internship during their time at Chapman. And the most popular form of experiential learning, as you can see by that statistic, is internships. And students have the option to earn academic credit for their internship, which more than 1,000 students at Chapman have taken advantage of each year. And those 1,000 students each year have gained more than 3,200 credits each year and have gained more than 135,000 hours of real world experience each year. I myself have actually completed 2 internships and am currently doing 2 right now. One that just turned paid, which is super exciting. One of the questions I get often is like, how do I manage to do everything? School, working at the Career Center, interning, being involved on campus, making time for family still, and also having like the college experience. Well, to be transparent, I sometimes wonder the same thing, but honestly for me, it just comes down to being able to plan in advance and really hone those like time management skills that I have like learned through classes. I also know I can't do everything. And while it took a while to like come to terms with that, classes like my leadership classes or my management classes have taught me a lot about how to slow down from time to time, take wellness breaks, and allow myself to relax and have fun and not feel guilty about it. That way the way I make time for this is just like literally by carving some time out of my schedule and, you know, spending time with my friends, like watching crime shows, doing some skincare, or have a game night with friends, something like that. And this like balance helps me like prevent any like burnout or feeling overworked. And this feeling paired with a couple decent night hours of sleep at night is what helps me like power through classes and assignments, even during a rough week. There's also like many organizations and resources at Chapman that help students with this. And there's also like great people that I personally surround myself with at Chapman that have just like supported me every step of the way. And there's always someone I can rely on. Another question I get is, how do I get like these internships? Well, there's a lot of different like approaches I've taken, but one of the ways I have gotten my internships is through like networking. I have a leadership class where our professor has been working with our office actually to help provide career development opportunities for students. And we had a networking panel recently, and I met a Chapman alumna who was in the lead program and actually the sister of one of our lead professors at Chapman. And I just had a really good conversation with her about the business she just started, and she offered me an internship. And I really believe like all of the practice I've gotten from like mock interviews and career fairs and practicing my elevator pitches with the Career Center and all these things have helped me like learn the importance of like networking and also hone my skills. And so speaking about networking, I'm actually going to have my colleague Ivy talk more about that and some of the resources we have as well. So Ivy, you can take it away.
Hi guys, so like Kelly mentioned, we are going to talk about networking. And for those of you that don't know what networking is, it's essentially just creating connections and building relationships, strengthening relationships, whether that's with people that you already know or people that you've just met. And you can do so in both an online and in-person environment. But today we do want to emphasize that doing it online is still beneficial. Of course, we're virtual right now. So a big plus of doing that online is that you have access to a lot of different people through a platform called LinkedIn, if you haven't learned about that. And this is really important because about 80% of jobs are working. So this is something that you should really focus on when it comes to your career or finding an internship or job in the future. And then another plus, of course, of doing networking online is that you can do it from anywhere. So, for example, this time last year, I was interested in a company that I really wanted to work for in the summertime, and I reached out a lot on LinkedIn. I found the employees that worked at the company, specifically within the industry that I wanted to go into, and I held informational interviews with them. And of course, COVID had changed all of that, but it didn't go to waste because exactly a year later, just a few weeks ago, I actually had an interview with that same company. And one of the first things that they mentioned was that they remembered my name. And it wasn't just the interviewer, but it was also other people within the company. And so I had built relationships and had gotten my name out within the company, which definitely gave me an advantage over other applicants when it came to that position. So like I mentioned, this was done on LinkedIn. And we did want to let you guys know of the very large resources that we have on LinkedIn. So we have about 60,000 alumni, 1,000 students, and over 1,000 faculty. These are all people that you can reach out to, connect with, build relationships with during your time at Chapman and after you graduate. And I do want to reiterate that these are only on LinkedIn. So these are only the internal sources that we have when it comes to people that you can connect with. So with that being said, we do also have external resources. And when I say that, I am referring to our employers, specifically our top employers. So on this slide here, we have our updated top 100 employers of 2021. And when I say top employers, that just means that these companies, they think Chapman first, which means that when they're looking and recruiting for people for internships or full-time jobs, they go to Chapman, specifically because of the talent pool that exists at Chapman. So on this slide, I did want to highlight a few of the companies that I have actually had experience with, specifically some of the larger companies, because I remember when I was at Chapman, I was thinking like, wow, that's so cool. They're one of our top employers, but there's no way they would notice me. Here I am, and I've proven myself wrong. And I just want to let you guys know that having them as a top employer is so beneficial, and they're a top employer for a reason. So the first company I'd like to highlight is actually Disney. I am a long time fan and supporter of Disney. I love anything and everything Disney. I actually got to meet with them at a virtual in-person career fair. It was my first career fair in the spring of 2020, so this time last year. I got to learn more about the professional internships that they offer in the college program. And actually, I had my first of 3 interviews with them last week for a professional internship that I had applied to for this summer. So I've had a lot of experience with them and within the company. And I also had experience with Warner Media. Last semester, I had an interview with them for a spring internship Unfortunately, I didn't get the internship, but that is okay because I did build relationships and make a connection with both the recruiter and other employees within the company that I had reached out to through networking and through informational interviews. So if I needed to, or if I wanted to apply to the company in the future, I could go ahead and use that background to get my foot in the door with them. Another large company on here that I had experience with is actually Target. They found me on LinkedIn, so I wasn't even thinking about internships at this point, but they found me, looked at my profile, and really thought that I would be a great fit for their summer internship program. So the recruiter had an interview with me and then scheduled me for another interview with a few other people within the company. And that is just a great example of how online networking can really help you and how these people, again, are thinking Chapman first. It's not just you going to them, but it's also them coming to you. And last but not least, I want to highlight List Reports. So they are a smaller company, but they are also located within the Circle, which if you haven't been to the Circle, it's just the area, the like shopping area right below Chapman. And what's really cool about them, again, they're located in the Circle. So you don't even need a car. You can just go and walk down to the Circle when we're in person, of course, one day, and just do an internship with them. You don't need a car or anything, but they've also established a work from anywhere mentality. So if you needed to go back home in the summer, you can go ahead and probably continue an internship with them or start a new one in the summer from anywhere across the country or even across the globe, because I did ask them at one point, you know, if I'm studying abroad, can I still do an internship with you? And they said yes. So there's a lot of companies like that on here that I want to highlight. It's not just that they're local when you are at school, but it's something that you can take with you during other parts of the year when you're not studying at Chapman during the spring and summer. But I also wanted to come back and bring Kelly and to share some of her experiences that she's had with some of these companies as well.
Yeah, so one of the companies I like to highlight is like Google. I've actually made a connection at Google, and I often bring them back to my fraternity to give like a quick speech about what they do at Google and some tips and advice. I've actually also been on an excursion to Monster and Secretary Center of the Arts. Those are really fun, just getting a behind the scenes kind of look into what the company does. What's really cool is that Chapman was actually like one of the first universities that Monster opened their like headquarters to come in, invite, just because they're really hush hush on everything and pretty secretive. And it was just so much fun to see all the design and all the get to like talk to the panelists and see all the different opportunities that Monster has to offer. We also got to take quite a few cans of Monster home, which is great for when I needed it during finals week. Some other companies I would like to highlight is also like Chalk and Kaiser. They're really close by Chapman, and a lot of my science and STEM friends actually like volunteer or work there. Like after a day of classes, they'll head over there just to get in their hours. And I know like they have like the best time at those places. They get so much experience under their belt. Also, PwC, Deloitte, Big Four firms like those, and even small firms like Higby and Associates, Baker Tilly, they're like always at Chapman every like semester recruiting for like a week or two. And they're so dedicated to helping Chapman students find opportunities within their company. They like love recruiting from Chapman. I have a ton of close personal friends of mine that like would go through their interview process, and by the end of their sophomore year, they would have a summer leadership internship program to look forward to. And then like sometimes by the end of their junior year or senior year, they already have a full-time offer to work with those companies after like graduation, which is like super cool.
Okay, so some of you may be thinking, you know, how do I get in contact with some of these companies? How do I get my name out there and make those connections? And that is actually through the resources that we offer, which is actually going to be the next section that we discussed today. So even though we are in a virtual format, we just want to let you guys know and make sure that you understand that every resource that we offer and service that we offered while we were in person, we are still offering while we are online. So one of the most popular ones is actually the personalized career advising. This is done with a career educator or a college career advisor, which also includes the peer career advisors such as me and Kelly. So these are done through Zoom right now. You'll go ahead and schedule an appointment through a platform that I will actually mention in just a second. Another resource that we have are workshops and presentations. Kelly and I have actually hosted some of these ourselves, and they are done online in a virtual webinar style similar to this. We have company and industry speakers and panels. I actually have gone to a few of these last semester. Of course, they were virtual. I met with Viacom CBS and Warner Media, which are two of our top employers, if you remember the slide that we just looked at. And it was actually a great opportunity for me because I got to give my name a face, and I did some research on who was going to be there and who was going to be recruiting for the positions that I had applied to. And sure enough, they were going to be the speakers at these panels, which gave me a big plus, because to kind of advance to attend their events and panels in general. We also have they have gone virtual. We have done 2 so far, and they have been extremely successful. And I myself have been to both in-person and virtual career fairs, and I can say that both of them have the exact same benefits, and there is really no difference besides just seeing the people in person. And last but not least, we also do have online resources. So it includes videos, guides, and templates, etc. And these are in person, and they can be found on a platform I'm going to mention right now. Yeah. Okay. So SAT. This is another little SAT question for you, but for those of you that got lucky and didn't have to, if that applies to you, this is what an SAT question may like. So for those of you that have used Canvas, which is probably a lot of you within this year, we like to say that Canvas is to academics as career. So as you can tell by Kelly and our shirts, we have Handshake because that is the platform that we use for all of our resources. So the appointments, the workshops, presentations, the panels, registration for the, as well as the Chapman specific job boards. So I did want to mention that that we do have a Chapman specific job board, and it is actually where I found my internship right now at the Graceful Exit. It was an unpaid internship that is now turned into a full-time paid role beginning in the summer. So that is really amazing. And I just wanted to highlight that so that you guys understand that you having a Handshake account, which every Chapman student gets once you start at Chapman in the fall. Once you register, it is so important to like stay up to date on that and check for jobs and internships throughout your time at Chapman, because it can hold your future career within that app. Okay, so last but not least, we did want to let everyone know that not only do we have general career services, we also offer industry-specific help. So if you're undecided or if you have declared a major, we can help all of you guys out no matter what, if it's just general questions or if it's something regarding what you're studying. There's always someone that can help you within our offices when it comes to looking for your future career or tip. So that is all that we have for you guys today. I do want to say for coming out, and hopefully we will see you in person soon. So far, it'll be done over Zoom. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelly and Ivy, for sharing not only the resources that our team provides to both Chapman students and alum, but also for sharing so much of your own personal experiences. It was really great to hear how you've connected with employers and alum and made things happen for yourself. So we really appreciate your time. And at this point, if there are any questions, we will stick around. So feel free to type your questions in the chat. But thank you all so much for being here. And don't be shy, seriously, we're happy to answer questions. Yeah, so we do have one question. Kelly, if you want to take this, do most students do the interterm session?
So I would say it's like 50-50. It's honestly up to the student. For me personally, my first year at Chapman, I was like, I just need a break and I don't really want to do interterm. So I took that interterm off, but then I have done interterms before and they're a great way to like just take a class to get ahead or to take a class to like fill up your time. Maybe you have nothing to do during interterm. Some students actually even do internships during interterm because you can register your internship for credit.
Is it common for freshmen to have internships? Does anybody want to take that? I can if you don't want to.
I can take that. So I actually started looking for an internship my freshman year. After my first semester, I was very, very eager to get an internship, and I started networking January of 2020, but of course the pandemic hit everyone. So from my personal experience, it really just depends. It's like Kelly said, everything is up to the student. If it's something that you really, really would like to have, then I say go for it. But from my personal experience, when I have asked other students that are in grades above me, a lot of them didn't have internships freshman year. You know, they're just kind of settle in and get used to the college experience. And also some internships do require you to have a decent amount of academic background. So there are some internships that do require you to be at least a junior, but it just depends on the company and the student, of course.
I have a question here about, do we approach our professors, representatives at career fairs, or ask the Career Center for internships? Kelly, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, so opportunities come from like anywhere. So I would want to always say, keep your eyes open. So for me personally, I've had opportunities come from a few different places. So some professors at Chapman are super passionate about helping students get careers. Like they're hosting their own like mini panels and career fairs like in their classrooms because they really want to help students get the experience. And some of them, professors themselves, have like their own companies or own opportunities to offer students. So a great one piece of advice is to build a relationship with your professors. And then another one is attending like events that the Career Center offers. The employers that we bring in are specifically looking to hire Chapman students. So that's like a great way to look for opportunities. And we don't necessarily give students internships, but it's like we're all, once you get once you're becoming adults, so like you're kind of like going out and like finding your own opportunities. We provide the assistance and all the necessary resources to help support you in any way you can. But a lot of students like will Google random internships or look on LinkedIn or look on Handshake or like those sites.
Great. Ivy or Kelly, you're both business students. Do you have any advice for incoming first year students who are going into business?
Actually, Kelly, do you mind answering that? Because I came in as a psychology major, so yeah.
Yes. So when you go through, when you get the Academic Advising Center will help guide students on what courses to take and help you like plan your first 2 years or your entire 4 years. It depends a lot on like what classes you come in with already or what kind of GEs that you may or may not have already. The Academic Advising Center is super helpful in guiding you through that. And sometimes the best way to get advice on those classes is actually asking those business students themselves. So I'm not sure if any of you heard of Unibuddy, but that platform, you can reach out to students with similar majors, even if you're not a business major, like any major, you can reach out to them and like also ask questions about what classes they took, maybe what professors they should take it with, things like that.
And then this question is for both of you. How did you decide you wanted to go to Chapman?
So I actually chose Chapman because of the scholarship that I received. So for those of you that don't know, about 80% of Chapman students have some kind of scholarship that was awarded by Chapman. So it made it very easy to compare it to the other schools that I got accepted to when it came to the finances, because going to Chapman was about the same as going to any of my other schools, but Chapman also had way smaller class sizes, which I really, really appreciated because, and I still to this day appreciate it, especially in the virtual environment, because it's so much easier to build that connection with professors and get that like one-on-one education if you needed extra help. And it's just more personalized academic having the smaller classes. That's kind of how I went about that.
Similar to Ivy, I have a few reasons. So one was the small class sizes. It's definitely made a difference. And like hearing my friends' experiences in their large class sizes, I was like, yeah, I'm so glad I chose Chapman because I need the attention. Two, it's in Orange County, so it's close to so many great things. Like I can take a weekend trip to Big Bear to go snowboarding. I can go to the beach, which is like 20 minutes away. When Disneyland opens back up eventually, can go do that. There's Knott's Berry Farm. There's tons of great food and places to explore. So I'm also biased because I've grown up here. So I also like want to leave Orange County.
I think that speaks volumes to it though, right? Like you've been there for your entire life and you still
the fact that my family's still here, I'm willing to commute and deal with them and still go just for the food and experiences.
Yeah, Kelly commuted before we went remote, so she's very, very used to it.
Yeah, minus the traffic, still love it.
Yeah, there's been a few questions about classes and things like that. So Tanaz put a link in the chat about first year courses and questions to those answers. Our office actually does not do course advising or academic advising. We work really closely with the Academic Advising Center, but we don't have access to your program evaluations, so we don't do that. What we can do though is help you decide if a class would be a good thing to have under your belt as it relates to your career goals. But we're not gonna make sure you're meeting your graduation requirements since there's an entire department on campus dedicated for that. Michelle, my colleague is going to be answering your question directly in the chat about physical therapy and occupational therapy. I do see it. She works a lot with our STEM students, so she is the most qualified person to answer that question. So I'm going to leave it to her, but I do see your question. Please do not feel like you're being ignored. Ivy, though, there is a question specifically about the psychology major. So if you could share what your experience was like, that would be great.
Okay, so I am still a psychology minor. I love the psychology major, and it's honestly not that different from the minor. You just don't have the year-long like capstone requirement that as a psychology major you will have. It's about 2 semesters long of like a research study. And I really love the classes. I'm actually taking a new psychology course this semester called environmental psychology. It's like literally brand new. And it's encourages us to like get outside of the house and build connections with the environment. I actually am required to go to the beach at least once a week for at least 30 minutes. And it has really helped like my development. So I love the array of psychology courses. But I did want to mention a little bit that Kelly and I are both graduating early. But with my psychology major, I actually came in as a double major or was planning to become a double major in psychology and business. and I was able to graduate on time, but because I wanted to graduate early, I did drop the major. If that wasn't, if I wasn't able to graduate early, I would have stayed in the major. I really love the department in general, and I really like talking about the research opportunities and everything like that. That's a really exciting part about psychology, is getting that extra step. But yeah, I love Crane also. Living with other Crane students was really fun my freshman year.
Okay. Both of you, but Kelly, I'll let you go since Ivy just finished talking. I know you've talked a little bit about it throughout the presentation, but what would you recommend to a student who's curious about how they build relationships with employees in their desired company?
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
How do students build relationships with employees in their desired companies?
So that's one of the topics that our Career Center helps students with. It's definitely not something that, there's question and there's an exact science to it. It's going to depend on you and your personality, as well as the initiatives you're willing to take. We offer so one of the ways I recommend is just coming out to events. A lot of students are oh, I'm not looking for a job or internship right now, so I don't want to go to the career fair or mock interviews. But those are great starting points to kind of build yourself. So that way, when you are ready to network and build those relationships, they're wow, they've got it on point. They know what they want. They know what they're doing. And a lot of that comes from experience. For me, I did not have it together freshman year. I thought I did, but I definitely did not. And taking advantage of all the resources, it's helped me to build myself so much stronger professionally. And that way, when I do talk to panelists at that class panel I was talking about earlier, she was wow, you know what you want. You're really passionate about event planning and marketing. Would you like an internship with me? I want to give back and I want to help and teach students. So would you be interested? And I'm yeah, definitely.
Great. Sorry, I got a little lost in the chat, so give me a minute to find the next question. For both of you, there's a couple questions about balancing on-campus jobs, internships, and work. So I know we briefly touched on that, but can we talk a little bit more about how you manage your time, how you show commitment and dedication to any and all of your experiences?
Kelly has definitely had a lot more internships under her belt. The first semester that I've taken on an internship in addition to my campus role. So I want to just give my experience so far. I'm 3 months into that. And honestly, the biggest is not to procrastinate. I've never really been a big procrastinator. I am very, type A type of person. But it takes a few planners. I would say I have my Google Calendar on my phone, as well as a written calendar of everything I need to do. And it's just planning and prioritizing certain activities for certain times of your day. It's very doable, but obviously you do want to incorporate some self-care and times to just rejuvenate and bring that energy back in, because it can be deteriorating when it comes to your energy levels. So if you just build in time to take care of yourself in the midst of it, it can be really simple. And then also, building boundaries when it comes to your positions as well. With my internship, I got really lucky. They are really flexible with me, and they understand that I'm a student and taking on a few different roles at the same time. But communication with everyone, and just being transparent with them about how you feel and how much you think you can take on is really important. And it's very, very doable. A lot of students have multiple jobs while at college.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to understand that your full-time job is a student. Being a student is a full-time job. If you take those free surveys, there's literally a box that says student. And employers and offices, our office, understand they understand that. They like know we have finals, they know we have midterms. And as a student, just like, you know, plan in advance, like, hey, I'm going to have like, this looks like a stressful week because I have all the course syllabus and it looks like I'm going to have a lot of tests that week. So I'm just going to get ahead of what I'm doing, like of my blog work at the career office. And then I'm going to ask for Friday off because I need to like just sleep in and watch crime shows all day. And that's what I did last week.
And as someone who supervises you, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that like open line of communication all of the time. And the priority on like taking care of yourself and your mental health. I mean, I know like right before we started this webinar, we had a conversation about that. And so I think most employers of interns understand that you're a student first, but it's just feeling comfortable enough and being able to advocate for yourself. And certainly when you are in that situation, anybody on this team is willing to have a conversation with you about how to approach some of those topics. It can be a little scary and a little overwhelming the first time you do it with the supervisor, but it's a really important skill. It falls into this career management, career competency that we want all of our students to have by the time they graduate college. And being able to take ownership of that is really valuable, but it's also something that most employers will be like, whoa, like this student can do that. And they're only a college student. So it's really impressive when you're able to do that. So it was a great question. Two questions that I'm going to kind of merge into one. Kelly, is there a commuter club on campus? And for both of you, was making friends easy when you first got here?
So there was like a commuter committee that talked about things for a while, but then this whole transition to like online made it all like weird and stuff. But when you get to Chapman, we can start a commuter club if you want. I'm also down for that. But there's always like making a club or organization on campus is so easy. So if you don't find something that you can connect with, you can always start your own. And for me, I actually did struggle with like finding a place at Chapman the first like month or so, just because, you know, everyone, like a lot of people were like in the dorms, they had their dorm mates, they had their hall mates and all this stuff. And I was like, dang, am I going to be able to make friends at all? But thankfully orientation week, like it came in clutch because I was able to meet a lot of people through there. And again, the classes are small. So you kind of like know, it's kind of like high school where you kind of like eventually just know people and everything. And people are in the same boat. Everyone's starting in like fresh in a new place, and everyone's just like looking for someone, you know, to have like lunch with occasionally. And that's one of the things I did. I got a commuter meal plan, which you can do. So that way I would go to the caf after classes and then meet up with like friends from classes and just get to know people. Joining like Delta Sigma Pi, my professional business fraternity, I've met some of my best friends through there. And yeah. And Ivy, I'm sure you had different experience.
Yeah, so my freshman year actually got cut short due to COVID. So my situation was probably, or is a lot different than Kelly's. So I only had about one semester at Chapman, and definitely like they offer so many activities for you to meet people. There was, I don't know if they're going to have this in the fall because everything is, you know, we might be in person, but this event that I'm going to talk about did have a lot of people in one spot. So they might do this very different. I can't think of the name, but it was like this event where everyone met on the field, and it was like hundreds of new
Playfair.
What was it? Playfair?
Playfair. Yeah.
Yes,
Orientation
Playfair.
week. I'm sorry, I'm really passionate about this. But
So
don't
am
miss
I,
out orientation week. It's so cool. You think you're like, nah, it's not cool. It's so much fun, and it only happens once in your life. I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad you said that because my roommate, so that's the weirdest thing is like in the beginning, you really connect with your roommates. For those of you that will live on campus, you kind of hang out with them. And then after orientation week, that's where everyone kind of splits up and they're like, okay, I feel like I could fit around this section or like this group over here. And so for me, Playfair was one of those events that I am so glad that I went to. It, like, again, hundreds of students all getting to know each other. It was like we had to find everyone born in our birth month. And so it was like, I'm born in October. So I had to find all the other people and form a group of the October babies. And then we like had a bunch of bonding exercises. So definitely try to go to whatever orientation activities they will be offering, whether that's in person or virtual. But beyond that, I personally did struggle a little bit with making friends. I still to this day feel like I haven't really found my group yet. And unfortunately, I would say that is because of what happened a year ago. You know, everything is done online, especially with the fall semester. Everyone was kind of just adjusting and figuring out like, how do you make friends in this environment? And I didn't do my part. I didn't reach out to people myself. So, and some, like even my club that I'm in, a lot of like people weren't attending the meeting. So it was really hard in the beginning. A lot of us have adjusted now and we're getting a little bit better when it comes to that. But also like look into clubs. I've researched a lot of clubs on Instagram and have followed them. Like Club 55 is the Disney club that I'm thinking of joining because I do love Disney. So maybe I'll surround myself with some Disney lovers. Maybe they'll be too extreme for me. Who knows? We'll just I'll figure that out on my own. It's just kind of like testing the waters. I know a lot of people that joined like 8 clubs their freshman year just to get to know people. That's one way you can go about it too. But I would say it takes time. And also in the beginning, from my experience, a lot of people clinged on to those people they met during orientation week, which is okay. But if you feel like that's not for you, like don't be afraid to go somewhere else, because there's so many people at college in general that have so many interests, and it just takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think just like anything else, it's all about what you put into it. And so just don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and don't be afraid to introduce yourself to people. As Kelly said, orientation, Chapman's orientation, even in the virtual setting that it was last semester, really is like no other school that I've ever seen ever. Both Kelly and I are a little bit biased. I'm also a Chapman alum, also worked in the Office of Orientation, but it is like my best friend to this day. Like I've now like 10 years, oh my gosh, met her almost 10 years ago, but literally my best friend to this day is somebody that I met in orientation when we were in different groups, but most of the people in our respective groups just decided they were too cool for school and didn't show up to anything. But we did. And literally 10 years later are still best friends. And so I think it's all about making sure that you are, if like for most of us, right, making friends is a priority, make sure you're prioritizing that right away. Get involved in the Facebook groups ahead of time, and just go to hall events, go to orientation events. Like Kelly said, don't miss out. It's a long week, really late nights and some early mornings, but really like it is the best way to make friends right away. And because the way orientation is designed, you also get to meet like different orientation leaders who are a little bit older than you and have a lot more Chapman experience, right? And so like, again, to this day, like I'm still connected with orientation leaders from when I was an incoming student. So just what you put in is what you get out. And that goes for career too, right? So for a lot of you asking questions about like connections and how to get ahead, how early you should start, again, what you put in is what you get out. The title of this slide says come early and come often, right? So the earlier you meet with us, the better poised you will be to land that dream job or that dream internship, or even get into your dream graduate school. We know that working is not what everybody wants to do right after graduation, and there are a lot of different fields that require higher degrees, and we support that process as well. So I think there's some new messages coming in, but from what I can see, most of the questions have either been answered via chat, links that Tanaz and Leanna have shared, or here. So with that being said, I just want to thank you all so much for being here. You asked some really, really cool questions. I think we are all so excited about moving forward and planning ahead with hopefully being able to be together physically in the fall. Again, this is our contact information. So please, if you have any questions, let us know. Thank you, Ivy and Kelly, so much for sharing your experience and for being here with us today. And again, thank you, Leanna and Tanaz, for your help with the chat. And with that, have a wonderful rest of your day, and please let us know how else we can help.
Thank you for coming, everyone. It was a lot of fun.